everyone. We're here live at the City of Woodinville Public Works Department, and we are planting a rain garden. So we are here with our community conservation team, and we're going to ask some questions and learn more about plants. Sorry, there's a car. Really excited to be out here. Right now is a really good time to plant. We'll talk about that in a moment, and then really hear about from our crew and what they enjoy about building rain gardens. So I'm going to pan over and we're going to get some stuff started. How are you doing today, Julia?
Yeah, glad it's not raining.
It is really nice that it's not raining.
Yeah.
What are you planting right here?
We're just doing a bunch of native plants all over the garden. A little bit of everything. Picked them up this morning from a local nursery in Snohomish.
Awesome. Are these all native plants?
They are, yeah.
Wow, this is great.
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
All right.
And we have our crew lead, Taylor Pesh. He is our rain garden extraordinaire guru and has been on the vet crew or the community conservation crew for about 4 years now. Perfect. Taylor, can you just tell us why we're here?
Yeah, not a problem. We are here located at the City of Woodinville's Public Works Office and Storage House. And part of this whole deal is working with the City of Linwood and King County and then the Little Bear watershed and trying to improve stormwater flow, contaminants within that. So yeah, we're here at the City of Woodinville's Public Works Department. Here we have them built a rain garden that captures all the water from their street, their parking lot, and their roof that comes off, and then it comes into the rain garden from this far end, by where Denise is at, and then it infiltrates and feeds into the entire system.
Awesome. Little bit of a busy street, so we're just gonna pause when cars are driving by. Why is it helpful to plant the rain garden now? Why wouldn't you do it after you built it?
Yeah, so a lot of times in our construction season, we start in early summer, go through summer till now. We just finished our last rain garden building it last week. So we don't plant during that time in the summer. It's too warm, too hot, not a guarantee that the plants will get watered enough, even with human help. So we wait until the fall, early fall, late fall to start planting all the rain gardens we built throughout the whole year to ensure the survivability of all the plants we put into it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. And if anyone wants to ask any questions, more than happy to keep an eye on the comments and I can ask them of Taylor and our crew. Yeah, and we can keep going with some questions. I just have a couple more and then I'll let you all plant and then see what folks are saying. But so what's stormwater? Why is stormwater a problem and why do we need rain gardens to help with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of reasons for why we need them and then what stormwater is. Stormwater is the rain that falls down on the ground, hitting the grass, hitting the asphalt and pavement, and then it flows and collects into our storm system. Then that goes into the next system, the next system. It varies depending on where and how things are built, but essentially street impervious surface leads to storm vaults, storm system drains, and that goes straight into our waterways. So what we're doing here with this stormwater is because it's in this busy public works area, so they have a lot of traffic, a lot of vehicles, and things that get settled onto the asphalt and concrete get washed up into with the stormwater during a rain event. And so we want to either, for one, slow the flow of the water that's coming into our system. Second is to clean that water out, or at least hold it into a spot that it can get filtered out and cleaned out by either plants or substrate, that then makes its way into our regular stormwater system. So we want to try to slow the flow in heavy events to keep it going, clean the water out before it gets into our streams, and it provides just an aesthetic look to a functional design.
Sounds like a great slogan for a rain garden. Slow the flow, slow the flow. So will this help salmon, and what are some ways that this has an impact on salmon?
Yeah, no, it really does. You know, just the one rain garden here won't do what we really want. That's why we try to build these things all over the place in very specific areas that are in areas that are in high impact for either one, pollutants and runoff, and or high flows that don't allow for proper spawning areas for salmon. The second biggest thing is all the particulates that get pulled out of the ground, off the asphalt, and into the water when we do have a rain event. Hopefully it should go into here, and that's kind of what the whole deal is those heavy metals, the petrochemicals, all those things that would just get brought straight into our storm drains and pipes and straight into our creeks is getting stopped here. Everything that comes off this roof, this asphalt parking lot, comes into here and it goes into the ground. It doesn't go into our pipes, it goes directly into streams. So having all those chemicals and particulates that are extremely harmful to salmon and rearing salmon, one spot right here we're taking that away. But it's more of these rain gardens and stuff we put out in the county and the areas around specific areas, the more benefit we'll have.
What are some other benefits of rain gardens? Like if folks want a rain garden at their house, what ways will that also just have benefits?
Yeah. So on top of all the pollutant and excess water flow and stop, we have hills and we have hydrology that just send water downhill, whether you're in a neighborhooded area or a semi-forested neighborhood that has a good gradient. So we want to slow that water down. You don't want to flood your neighbors out. We have some of these older neighborhoods don't have drains that go from their gutter downspout to a pipe. Some of the older ones just go straight hit the ground, and you have a splash pad and the water just goes there. So that does help, but grass and just plain water don't really do much. So we got to take that grass out, putting in this area for the water to get into the soil, into the ground, so we can mitigate a lot of different flooding, stormwater issues within localized neighborhoods. So that can help an individual homeowner or landowner who have flooding or water issues, help divert water away from that specific area, or help a neighbor because we're uphill from them and the water's going to them. We can stop that. Just general needs for people's properties too.
It's a little hard to hear you, so if you would be able to move closer, that would be really helpful. Thank you, I appreciate it. What are good plants for a rain garden? Mary wants to know.
Yeah, great question. Our number one plants to use for rain gardens are our native plants that we have that are grown at different nurseries around the area. Native plants are acclimatized in this area. They know what to do with the water, the soil, how to operate. On top of that, they're more of they're ready to handle any of the weather that happens. Over too much rain, cold, snow, heat. Our plants here that are from here, native here, ready for any kind of thing that's ready to go. Super adaptable, hardy for this, and then what they do individually in the group really help that flow, the water, the cleaning.
Can you just name some of the plants that you're planting here right now?
Yeah, no problem. We have some lady fern here that's being planted. We got sword fern, we have snowberry, we got red tree dogwood, we got tall Oregon grape. Then we have a bunch of grasses and sedges that are going in the middle where it's the wettest. That's where they do the best. Everything else is kind of put into place that is determinant about the plants make them how they grow. So they're in a zone that's not too wet, not too dry, but just out of the way, but still within that area to help water and cleaning. But then we have our heavy workers in the middle, the grasses and sedges that'll really take over, fill that area, soak the water, clean the water out at the same time. So yeah, always try to do native plants because they are our champions out here.
Perfect. I apologize, everyone, for all of the traffic driving by. So when we have a car go by and maybe someone's still talking, we'll just make sure to project a little bit more. So it seems like the plants on inside the rain garden need to be able to tolerate like standing water and really wet conditions, and then kind of as you go outside of the rain garden, maybe zones like 2 or 3, you want them to be, you know, still can tolerate some wet conditions, but then dry conditions as well. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, 1, the wettest in the middle, the side slope is about 2, the top, the outside is 3. So yeah, all our plants are determined by the wetness zones that they can handle really good.
Perfect. And we are on a tripod today, so I want to kind of walk around and give you all a different perspective, and apologize if it's a little wonky, but we are going to walk over here towards Julia and Denise. I'm gonna go talk to Denise first. Hi, Denise.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good, how are you doing? How long have you been with Snohomish Conservation District?
Well, I worked for 2 years with the Veterans Conservation Corps, and then now I'm working for the Snohomish Conservation District on the Community Conservation Crew.
Awesome. What is something that you really enjoy about this work?
I love that we're making the water cleaner. I love getting out there and putting in rain gardens and letting people understand what rain gardens do. It's just so wonderful. I love doing all of it.
Yay! That's awesome. Are you planting some sedges and things here?
Yep, some sedges and some little yellow-eyed grasses and things like that.
Awesome. That's great. Is there anything that you would like to see the district keep doing, or like your favorite thing about building rain gardens?
Driving the big Honda toys.
We're gonna pause real quick as this truck goes by. Sorry, folks. There's more trucks, of course. So Denise, I've seen some of the rain gardens that you've built with the crew, and what I really enjoy about your work is that you will always do awesome rock designs. You seem kind of like an artist. Do you like to bring some of your art and creativity to rain gardens?
Well, I do have a degree in art and a degree in sustainability, so I like being able to combine them. And yes, we usually use some of the larger rocks that we find when we dig out the rain gardens to decorate around them, and then we put in the drain rock to make them so that the water has something to seep into before it just washes across.
Awesome, and that is what this rock is here.
And the bigger ones came from the garden.
Yeah, incorporating some rocks into the garden as we can. Always trying to bring some beautiful aesthetics as well as functionality to the rain garden. I think Denise does such a wonderful job at that. Is that Taylor? All right, thank you so much, Denise. I'll let you get back to planting and we can check in with you. And then we still have the crew planting away. And come over. Question for you, Taylor. Do you want to come a little closer?
Yeah.
Can someone plant their own rain garden, or should they consult the district first?
You can absolutely plant your own rain garden. It does help to have a little bit of, it does help to consult us or go through us to help, give you some suggestions on where to get plants and what plants to get, and then potentially kind of a layout help. But this is easy to plant in. Rain gardens are super easy to plant in. They're super soft. You just gotta move the mulch, just put your hands in there, put the plant in. It's really, really, really easy. Number one thing to maybe look at for information and help would be the Northwest Rain Garden Handbook. That's kind of what we use to help base everything off of, and then everything we have in there, suggestions we give the homeowners to go if they want to do it themselves, DIY, rain gardens, and plantings. And but yes, it's very doable to plant yourself.
Perfect. Yeah, we on our website, if folks are interested, they could email outreach@snohomishcd.org, and I can send you a link to that Western Washington Rain Garden Handbook that goes through all of the ins and outs and everything else. Thanks, Taylor. I'm gonna move over to our other crew member, Julia. Hi, Julia.
Hi.
How long have you been working with Snohomish Conservation District?
I actually just started in June or July, so I'm fairly new here, but it's been great so far.
What is some of your favorite things about building rain gardens or working at the district?
I learn something new every day working here. I'm not afraid to ask questions because everybody's super nice and knowledgeable, so just learning something new every day where I can take them into my daily life and help out, my mom who really likes gardening. So I've been teaching her a little bit more about native plants, which ones should stay, which ones should go. So it feels cool to learn something and then bring it into your real life.
Right, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there, I know rain gardens can be hard work, but do you like that type of work? Is it fulfilling to you?
Yeah, I feel super fulfilled here. This one is actually just a seasonal job for me, but I got a seasonal winter job in order to come back hopefully next year to the same job. I've been enjoying it so much.
That's awesome. Yay!
And then I wanted to point out too, I don't know if this is cool to point out or not, but there's some deer scat here in this garden, just in the middle of Woodinville. So to me, coming here and seeing that this morning is oh, that's real. We're planting these plants. These deers are gonna probably eat off some of the berries and this and that. So I just think it's cool. You're in the middle of Woodinville and we're doing something where we can really see the impact of it.
Yeah, urban areas with still, wildlife and, finding good solutions for some of the problems that we have in our environment.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Thanks, Julia. Jay. How's it going, Jay? Oh, I'm in the sun. I'm sorry. I'm going to rotate so you're not blinded. So Jay started at the district in 2018. He's been working with us on and off in the crew here and there, which has been really nice. Jay, what makes you keep coming back to build rain gardens?
Well, it's a nice way to spend the summertime.
Yeah. Do you like the physical labor aspect?
Yeah, it's not bad.
What's one thing that you really like about building rain gardens?
I don't know. It looks, after you're done, you got something you accomplished. You can see you did something.
Right, there's a really clear visible change where if it was just grass before, now it's something completely different. Is there common questions when you all are out in either neighborhoods or other areas that you all get from people walking by? I know that one of the questions I think folks, we're going to pause for a second. I always hear that people think that we're either building a pool or a pond.
Yeah, swimming pool. We could probably build one. Or a trout pond or something.
Right? That's awesome. Thanks, Jay. All right, looks like we're making some good progress on this rain garden, planting it. We have some tall Oregon grape, lady fern, western sword fern, a rose species. We have snowberry, and then red osier dogwood. This is awesome. All right, if folks have more questions, we can ask them to our crew and see if they have anything else they want to share about rain gardens. I just wanted to show you all this book. So this is the Rain Garden Handbook for Western Washington. And I'll give you all a peek inside. So it really covers of how to get started, you know, what the steps are going to be, a cross section of a rain garden. It goes into installation, layout. One of the really important things we must always do before digging into any property is call before you dig. So you want to do a utility locate. And then this site here is the Public Works Operations Center for the City of Woodinville. So we're in Woodinville, just kind of off Highway 9, past that Costco, if you all are familiar with the area. And then Taylor, I have a couple more questions if you don't mind.
What do we have?
Sorry, real quick. Mary, this is the Rain Garden Handbook for Western Washington, and I am more than happy to share a link if you go to our website, snohomishcd.org, and if you go to our stormwater solutions, click on rain gardens, and then find more information about rain gardens, you will be able to download this whole handbook on a PDF. So that is there. Always happy to give my information out so I can send that to you directly if you're having a hard time finding that. All right. So Taylor, why this location? Why Woodinville? What like sub-basin are we in right now? You know, is a sub-basin like larger than our watershed? Or is it smaller? Give us some details.
Yeah.
And can you just come a little closer so folks will be able to hear you?
Yeah, not a problem. Details. So part of this grant was for commercial property have some retrofit to be a rain garden. So this is a commercial property for the city. There's lots around here. This is kind of the warehouse area and the distillery winery area. So there's a lot of warehouse, a lot of area to be able to kind of do these things in. But this was the best location, the one that was the quickest to find and have somebody want to do a rain garden here. So this area is part of the Little Bear watershed, and that's a highly impacted but an extremely important watershed for salmon. And so that's part of this grant, was to be around that watershed and then finding commercial property around that watershed to build one of these. And we're continuing to find those areas for future projects. So anything commercial in the Woodinville, King County area. That's kind of what we're trying to do with this grant and with this rain garden here.
So who is this grant funded by?
The Department of Ecology.
Okay, do they usually fund a lot of rain garden projects, or?
Yeah, they do. We work with them a lot in a lot of different respects here at the district, but specifically for the community conservation team, we go to them to get funding for different watersheds that are impaired. And the Department of Ecology has maps of these watersheds, and then we use those to then pinpoint exactly where we want to try to have these projects implemented at.
How long did it take you all, because this, if you could step to the side for a second, this rain garden is what, about 150 square feet?
Closer to 250, somewhere
250?
around there.
I was a little off. That's okay. But so how long does it really take to construct a project like this? Like, what type of equipment are you all using?
Yeah, it depends on the size and scale. That has a lot to do with, you know, the time it takes and the equipment and stuff we need. For a project like this, that we're using our own trailer, we're renting an excavator to dig it out, and then we're hauling our soil off. We're having soil brought in, we're having the mulch brought in. A garden like this could take just 3 to 4 days the max, if everything goes smoothly and everything's timed right with the equipment drops and there's no hiccups in between. This only took us about 3 to 4 days. Typically when they're a lot smaller, like a residential rain garden, or we're doing a big cluster residential garden, so we could do about 6 within a week or 2. I'll wait for a second. But on average, a rain garden of this size should only take us about 3 days to 4 days, as long as everything runs smoothly. There's certain instances where we have help from different municipalities when we're building rain gardens in their cities. They'll provide us with a dump truck. You know, those are the ones that we usually have a lot more coming out, or a bunch of different rain gardens in different areas. So having that ability to have such a large amount of soil taken out at one time for us to then, you know, put soil back into these rain gardens, you know, that is extremely helpful, and that can really expedite and help us build these faster.
What kind of soil is it then? If you're taking out, if you're taking out the soil that was there, what are you replacing it with?
Yeah. So when we do these, we take out the native soil or the brought-in compacted soil from developments, from whenever that happened. We take that out because it's over compacted. It's not kind of really the greatest makeup of different things in the soil that really benefit the actual rain garden. So we take out the native soil, and then we'll replace it with about 90% back into what we call rain garden bioretention soil. So it's a 60% sand, 40% compost organic soils. That's really finely well mixed, and then that gets put in back into the garden with some extra feature of, you know, not so flat. There's some berming and there's a little bit of ponding in the middle. Once that gets put in and formed and raked out, then we come in and we put in this mulch you see on top, which we call animal-friendly hog fuel. It's kind of an interesting name for just saying we got some mulch here, but this specific type of mulch has no bark. It should not have any cedar wood in it. It should be all other types of fir, hard, softwoods within it, because cedar can be kind of not as fun to work with when you have kids and animals that get splinters and chewing on it and things like that. It can be harmful to some animals, so we steer away from that. That's why it's called animal friendly. But on top of that, it lasts a really long time. It does a really good job at controlling weeds, and then on top of that, it helps with some nutrient transfers and uptakes with different nitrogen and stuff. So it's a long-lasting, beneficial mulch.
So it seems like, you know, sand is really good for letting water infiltrate and flow through. So that would make sense as why it's mostly sand. And then is the compost aspect for like attaching to pollutants, like filtering pollutants and things? Is that really how it works?
Yeah, I think that couldn't speak exactly on it, but I'm pretty sure it has a lot to do with that aspect, and on top of that, just the nutrient-rich soil really benefits the plants to get them going as fast as they can, so then they can start doing the bulk of the work on filtering, cleaning, and growing. So yeah, that high compost count really is beneficial for the plants to begin with, but it also helps break down and attach to the pollutants.
Awesome. So some of the plants look a little small here. Is that on purpose? Ooh, and we also just want to point this out. We have some really cute dark-eyed juncos flittering about in our work. One of the really positive things about having wood chips is that it can attract a lot of insects. And so when you're able to have wood chips instead of bark, either, you know, covering the soil on your property, removing grass, it provides a lot more habitat for birds to forage, and, you know, they're picking up seeds and other insects, and it is really beneficial to wildlife. So these little birds are dark-eyed juncos. It's that classic dark head with a brown body, some gray, tan. I know, I apologize, they're a little hard to see, but if you're able to Google them, you'll get a good idea of what they look like. And then when they fly away, they have these cute little outer white tail feathers that you'll see classically as, you know, you're trying to focus on them, and then boom, the bird flies away. So sorry for that little side tangent. Yeah, so my question, Taylor, was...
why do these plants look so small?
Yeah.
No, that's a great question. That happens a lot too. It's like, why don't you get bigger plants so they just do their thing right away? It's like, yeah, that's nice, but this way their variability is a lot better. They have a better chance of survivability at this stage when they get put in really small. And we like to put them in small and young because they're vigorous, they're ready to go, and they can then just really explode. And so small plants spaced out with a good spacing will allow for a good explosion and spread of the plants, depending on the type they are. If they're, emergent type, they come back up and again next year, and that's spreading out and filling in. So we want plants to be young and vigorous, and we plant them now just so they'll survive, and then they just really, really, really take off in a year or two. And it just looks better, and it gives it space and time for them to get spread out and get established.
That makes sense, and it seems like, just with smaller plants, these are potted and whatnot, but just saving money, resources, because plants can be super expensive at times, and if they're gonna grow pretty fast here anyways, might as well just let them like get to mature size. Yeah.
Yep. Starting young and establish themselves on their own while they're young is probably the best thing we can.
Awesome. And then folks, for just tuning in, please feel to comment with any questions or comments you have, and I can ask them of Taylor and the crew as well.
Yeah, thank you all for joining too. Appreciate it.
This has been great. Yeah, it's great to see some plants going in the ground, and I'm sure this rain garden is just going to look fantastic during the new growing year. You're doing a good job, Jay.
They're gonna see me on it. They're not what me in their yard. Jay's the funny man of the group. Hi everyone. So if you are interested in a rain garden, you can find this on our website at snohomishcd.org. This is the Rain Garden Handbook for Western Washington. It's really nice to be out here with the crew today because, they built this rain garden about a month or two ago, and now they're able to plant it because the best time to do any gardening or planting of plants is during, about October-ish, maybe November, but, end of October to, the beginning of April or mid-April, depending on how much spring rain we get. But what's great now is that these plants' roots are dormant, so they're not really actively growing. They're not trying to, send out more vegetation or foliage. It's going to be really nice so these roots can get established before the dry season comes. So typically, during the first or, second summer, folks should maybe provide some supplemental watering, especially if we have a really dry summer where we're not getting a lot of rain. It's going to really help the plants survive and grow, but planting this early and doing it now, the roots are going to be able to grow into their new home, and then be able to establish themselves before things get really, really dry. So that's a great reason why we're planting now. And really looking forward to doing more rain gardens. So if you all are interested in a rain garden, we offer free site visits so we can help determine if a rain garden is going to work on your property. Unfortunately, some houses and just the way your property is set up isn't always the best. So learning to do that first, and then with different cities, some offer rebates and things like that for rain gardens. So that's really good information to know. Always reach out to your city to see if they offer rebates or anything else like that. But that is how we're able to do a lot of our, like Linwood rain garden clusters and things like that. So I'm going to go back to the crew and kind of check in and see how planting is going. It looks like they're almost done, amazingly.
All right, just do a little walk around and show you all some of these plants. So we have this red shrub here. Well, the stems are red, but this is a red Ozir Dogwood. It has great winter color. As you can see, the twigs and stems are this like reddish color, and that's very classic for a red Ozir Dogwood. It's a great filter for pollutants and everything else, and this is also used widely on habitat restoration projects. And then we have the ferns and everything else here. We have snowberry. Snowberry is a great plant. It has these classic white berries here. I'm actually going to take this off the tripod. So we have these snowberries. So these berries are white, they're a little foamy, and they're not edible to humans, but wildlife do really enjoy these flowers. And then this can kind of look like the invasive holly, but this is tall Oregon grape. And Oregon grape is amazing because it offers so many benefits to wildlife. It has these beautiful clustered yellow flowers, and then once those are pollinated, they develop purple berries, and those berries are edible too, and they're pretty good. So sometimes I'll pick a couple before the birds can get them all. And then this is where the water is going to be coming into the rain garden. So this whole concrete area is really draining here into here where the rock is. We have an overflow to this end, but then this can be really filled up with all the stormwater that is coming off of this pavement. And so you can kind of see some oil spills and things, and it's going to flow and move down here. And then that is where it can infiltrate into the rain garden, and it will do so slowly, and depending on how much water is coming into the area determines the size of the rain garden. So our district engineer Derek Hahn designed this with the space in mind, you know, how many square feet and, you know, possibly inches of water is going to make its way into this rain garden, and then, you know, building the size appropriately so that we're not building a rain garden that is too small or won't be able to hold all of the water that is going to be coming into the area. And, you know, the plants really help filter the water. They help absorb the water too, because as we know, like, plants thrive with water, at least in the right amount. Then we have all these ferns. Denise is diligently just pulling up some of the grass, because even though we desodded the area, grass is pretty resilient and it comes back even if a lot of it has been removed. And so there is most likely still some root systems here, so the grass is still actively growing. And then, you know, being able just to provide some maintenance here and there. And the size and types of plants you have in a rain garden will determine like how much maintenance you will need.
This one doesn't, the grass, as you can see, is just this little bit right along this edge. So this whole rain garden only has this much maintenance that we're having to do. And as it matures, and as you put more mulch on every couple of years or whatever as it needs, and you keep pulling the grass out, you're not really going to have to worry about it after a while.
Yeah, especially with this wood chip mulch that we're using. So like Taylor said, this is animal friendly hog fuel, and it's just shredded chunks of wood.
It's from the inside core. It doesn't have any bark in it, so it doesn't have all that splintering that you have to worry about with the bark from the outsides of the tree. So that's part of what makes it animal friendly. Your animals won't get splinters between their toes and things like that when they walk on it. It also tends to weave together more. If you look over here, it's kind of solid. You know, it wants to come loose and you can stir it up, but it kind of weaves together, whereas the chunks of bark just kind of roll on top and it's not as nice.
Yeah, that's a great point to bring up, because you know, when you have water flowing into an area, you think, oh my, like all the wood chips, are they going to float? Is this going to stay? But using this specific wood mulch, wood chips, is really helpful, and it's something that our engineer always uses in terms of rain garden, and will always recommend for folks if they decide to build their own rain garden. Another benefit of this wood chip mulch is that it can help suppress weeds. So many species of plants, many weedy species, are able to send out seeds and things like that, and so the seed will get essentially lost and, you know, hopefully not germinate in this wood chip mulch. And you know, like the chunkier the pieces, the better. And it's really helpful for, you know, keeping the native plants, having a lower maintenance yard, and then really being able to enjoy seeing your rain garden function, especially when there is a lot of rain. Taylor, can you tell me more about this overflow right here?
Yeah, not a problem. Not all rain gardens have them, and nor do they require them, but this is called a vertical underdrain. In some instances where we have a rain garden in a specific area that doesn't have a great spot to overflow, or just the elevation and topography of the area doesn't allow us to have that, just a natural overflow. Because yeah, we don't want it just to, if it were to fill up in a huge event, we want the water to go somewhere instead of into a wrong spot. So this here is connected to a storm drain that's right on the other side of this curb. So we took our pipe and drilled through it and then connected it into there, and it's connected to here. This spot is higher than there. It slopes down into the storm drain, so when the water does come into here and it gets too much and starts to fill up, it's at a set level in this vertical under drain, so the water comes up and hits that pipe, and then it starts flowing out. So in the event we have huge storm surges, this will help offload a lot of extra water out into here. But the great thing about it is all the water that comes in here is getting stripped of a lot of the pollutants before it then ends up going to there. So it'll be a little bit quicker of a turnaround instead of sitting in here for a few days or getting into the ground from here. It does go into the storm system, but it has a chance to filter out a lot before it has to go there first.
Can we see inside?
Absolutely. So, as you can see, we've had a lot of rain recently, and so there's still some water sitting at the bottom of this. But the water is below our overflow drain, so this is just the water that's going to stay in here and or infiltrate into the natural soil. So when we do have a storm event, the water will come up to here, and it'll go into this pipe and out the storm drain, preventing excess water and drowning of plants.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Wow, it looks like you all have finished planting this. That was very fast. Folks still watching, if you have any other questions, I saw that there was some new folks that have joined. So if there's anything you'd like to know about rain gardens, what a rain garden is, if you're interested in contacting Snohomish Conservation District about, you know, if a rain garden is feasible for your site, we can always set up a site visit in the near future. Is there anything else y'all want to say?
I don't know, just thanks for joining, and if you know, anybody has any other future questions, or they're really interested in their own rain garden for their personal residence, or maybe a business they have, or know somebody that could really use one, has an extra space in their parking lot that we can strip out, please contact us or your local municipality to see if they can offer any assistance, or we can offer assistance.
Perfect. Thank you, Taylor. And then Mary, I want to make sure that I can am acknowledging what grass you're talking about. Are you talking about these bigger grasses or the ones that we planted in the rain garden? And I will wait for you to give a response. I want to be sure that we are talking about the same grass. And if anyone else has questions, please feel free to ask them here. All right, the ones just planted. Taylor, can you tell us about some of these grasses and sedges that were just planted here? Which ones are here?
Yeah, not a problem. So we have a dagger leaf rush.
So this is this dagger leaf rush.
And then we have a slender rush, which should be
right here. This is the slender rush. It's very tiny, but it will get a lot bigger. And then this is the yellowed eye grass that Denise was talking about earlier. So this is very grass-like. It's going to have yellow flowers. And then some of the rushes are going to have like cute little seed pods on the top. So they're essentially called inflorescence, and it's like their own type of flower. And they will be able to produce more seeds and will also vegetatively reproduce. And these are really great for inside of rain gardens. In the past, we have planted a lot of sloe sedge in rain gardens, but we're kind of stepping away from that because they are so they're so good at what they do that sometimes they outcompete some of the other sedges and grasses inside of zone 1 where there's going to be all the water, and that we've just kind of stopped using it because it does so well and it's so successful that it just takes over the area. So trying to choose more species that are going to be successful but not outcompete everything else in the rain garden. So sloe sedge is nice. You just, if you do plant it in a rain garden, you're going to have to maintain it a lot because it reproduces by seed and vegetatively. And so more roots will just create more plants, and then you will be pulling up a lot of sloe sedge in your rain garden to maintain it. But this has been so wonderful, and if you all are more curious and want to learn more about rain gardens, we're more than happy to assist. And it has been my pleasure to speak with you all today. So my name is Sarah Rosero. I'm a community engagement coordinator with Snohomish Conservation District. As you can see, I love birds. And you can always ask us questions if you have anything that you need technical assistance on, anything related to natural resources, stormwater. We are here to be a resource for you and offer free guidance and recommendations. It does not cost anything to you to reach out to us and ask us questions and or have us out on your property for a site visit. If you're having any sort of stormwater issues, drainage issues, Taylor is the man to contact to get assistance with that. And the crew will be wrapping up doing more rain garden plantings and everything else this year, so more site visits will be in his future. So reach out to us, and really appreciate you tuning in and joining us today. They just work so fast. It did not take long at all to plant this rain garden. So hopefully in the future, when we get past COVID and it's safe for us to interact with our friends and community members, we want to keep having more volunteer planting events, which we typically do to plant rain gardens. So we want to get you all involved, answer your questions, and make sure that you all have resources that are available to you. All right, well, thank you for joining, and we will see you next time. You all have a great day.